So, be yourself. Knowing yourself is the beginning of all wisdom. So that's all about self-awareness, and that's Aristotle wrote that. So in 2017, I was let go from my job. In the back of my mind, working for other people had been discouraging me from truly being me. But I had not had the courage to allow that to come through. Until this point, it was almost as if I was given the opportunity specifically in order for this to happen. Let me just take you back to an earlier chapter where we met, Vanessa, myself. Throughout my life, I've been learning about myself, and this had brought me to today, where I mostly understand who I am and what I need in my life, and therefore I've gained some ability to live in alignment with that person. And as I stated in the previous chapters, there were 3 points in my life when I made significant shifts in discovering who I was as a person, and hence moved forwards towards being more authentically me. The first one was after my bad car accident in 1998, and in the previous chapter there's a description about that. When I'd lost lots of time, I had lots of time laid up recovering from some really serious injuries. During this time, I enrolled on a counselling course, so we're talking like 1998. It was a revelation, and I realised that I had choices in my life, because prior to that, I'd been in active addiction, and I was just all over the place. And I recognised that I had some control from that counselling course, and something I'd not realised before. And I realised I could change my life if I wanted to. Even though I was pretty hopeless, negative and overwhelmed at the time, I also learned I could be myself, and that if I was not happy with things in life, I could change them. Wow, what a revelation. I mean, so many of us, I'm sure you can imagine, you can relate to that point of just not feeling able to change. Consequently, I left the relationship with my children's father. That was the first step. The second point was in 2008, where I was ill for a period with swine flu. I was in a high pressure job, so we're really playing the tape forward here. I'm in recovery. And at the time I was working many hours. Life at home was not easy, and I was constantly stressed and depressed. Things just did not seem right. I started taking some herbal supplements to manage my depression, and I was waking up feeling so dark and bleak every single morning. I was thinking, is this it? Is this what my life has become? Even though I was away from the chains of addiction, my life was not right. I felt dissatisfied, incomplete, like I was living a life that other people felt I should live, but that I did not like it myself. I was constantly anxious about sharing my voice and my truth, and felt I was just swaying from one crisis to the next in my life. Anybody relate? During this time, I started to look at some coaching tools. I came across some that helped me understand what I wanted in my life, and I could implement them. I learned what my values were, and I aimed towards living in alignment with them. That was a process. But once I knew what my values were, which were connection, responsibility, and growth, and once I started making sure that everything I did in my life was in alignment with those values, I found life a lot more fulfilling. So my last period of change was in 2018. Change is happening all the time, but in this particular chapter, I talk about these 3 points. And that's when I was launching my business, when I got let go of from my job. Having been let go of by the company, as I mentioned above, I was able to truly become me. I explored so many aspects of myself using coaching tools, personality questionnaires. I explored crystal healing, color therapy, meditation, yoga, feng shui, energy heat. I went crazy. I had like feng shui assessments in the house. I was doing color therapy all the time. And I gained a coaching qualification. Most importantly, I changed my life significantly to correlate with everything that I knew was me. So all the stuff that hadn't been me was out, gone. Not easy to do. But most importantly, I changed things at home. I allowed myself to explore lifelong ambitions, one of them being to scuba dive. I made a commitment to stop people pleasing and to not worry what other people thought of me. That was a big one. I mean, hey, we all worry about that, don't we? And actually it's natural to worry about that. but that was holding me back. It was truly freeing, and I can quite honestly say it was the best thing I've done for my mental health. My mental health improved tremendously on the back of that. So what's this step all about, this being yourself step? This step is about being truly in alignment with yourself and being authentic to who you are. It's about saying no to the things you don't want in your life. And it's about saying yes to the things that you do want and need in your life, such as people pleasing, stopping worrying about others, what they think, placing boundaries in your life. Also developing compassion for yourself, letting go of being harsh on yourself. Gosh, we're all so harsh on ourselves, aren't we? Just let go of that, let go of that inner critic. It's always going to be there, but just let go of it. And let go of the shoulds, all those, I should do this and I should do that, all that conditioning that we have. And we feel we have to fulfill these. Sorry, I lost track a little bit there. The reason why this step comes here is that you now have the opportunity to put this into action. Some of the steps you've learned in the first 2 steps. So by following this step, you can really start to firm up your progress. And you're moving forward now by understanding your real, true and authentic self, your wants and needs, and putting them into practice. You can build some hope for a better future because you'll be putting your needs first more often. This will feel good, I can guarantee that. And it will prompt you to continue with this journey. So it will give you that leverage to move forward. This step's particularly important for you because probably for the first time in your life, you have an opportunity ahead of you to be truly you. You may not believe this at this point, and you may feel as if other factors such as people, situations are preventing you from that. But don't be fooled. It's not the truth. You can be you. But your first task is to find out who you truly are. You spent so many years looking at other people, or looking after other people, or chasing careers that you've never had the opportunity or need to broach this question. You're never too old to do this. You may discover new activities or delights in your life as you go on this journey of discovery, a new sense of newness and adventure, however small. It's so good for our mental health. It's really good. I mean, just think, you've just got one life. So just explore it, just be who you're here for. Over the years, you may have felt unheard or neglected, but now you have the opportunity to hear yourself. I mean, how powerful is that? And respond to the things that you say, so you can hear yourself and respond to that. Once you know what your needs are and what fulfills you, you do more of it, and that will massively help your mental health. With self-acceptance comes the ability to let go of the past and to look at the future. Living in regret is futile. I'm just going to say that again. Living in regret is futile. The greatest benefit for you will be the peace of mind that will come with being you. A real sense of calm will come over you. Others will be unable to faze you. Others won't faze you so much. And you'll have less need for all those negative thoughts and worries. You may not need to worry about other people anymore. You can choose to worry about them, but that will be something you will be much more in control of. And it will be your choice. How empowering is that? It will be your choice. If you do not bring this step into your life, then you may continue to be resentful with others and yourself. You will continue to ruminate on worry, guilt and self-pity. This will cause you to continue to feel miserable. And it will impact your relationships with others, as well as your already shattered faith in humanity. Anger and frustration will still be present in your life and will impact upon you. You will also continue to be overwhelmed, have too much on your plate because you will not take the time to scale everything back to what is really important for you in life. When you are overwhelmed, you feel you cannot cope, and this will not go away if you do not work through this step. The overwhelm and inability to cope will continue to contribute to your stagnation and lack of motivation, paralysing you, preventing you from seeing a way forward. In the long term, this will lead to continued anxiety and depression, perhaps feelings of hopelessness, or even not wanting to be here. anymore. That's how serious this is. So let me tell you Naomi's story. Okay, so Naomi is a lovely lady that I worked with, and she came to me for help early last year. This was early 2021. She was exhausted and felt she'd lost focus in her life and was feeling extremely frustrated. She was aware that she'd had a difficult history of both of her parents were alcoholics. This, she said, was impacting her on a daily basis, and she was having frequent bad dreams, even though it had been many years since she'd left home. As a child, she'd taken on the role of caring for her parents and had also acted as a mediator during their conflicts. She had found herself keeping the peace or making the environment better, finding the evidence from the outside world so that no one knew, hiding the evidence from the outside world so that no one knew and it remained a family secret. So common in addictive families. She would also just retreat to her room, alone and unsupported when things became bad. Naomi also had to come to realise that making decisions was really difficult for her. She always had her parents and the background duty of care to them on her mind. She found herself in overwhelm and fear so often. The other thing was that Naomi found it extremely difficult to express her needs to others when she knew things were not right. She would become overwhelmed and find herself paralysed, unable to take action. And then this would make her feel hopeless, depressed, and enveloped in so much self-doubt. The two of us explored Naomi's fears in her sessions and discussed the roles that her upbringing had imprinted on her. Through my help and knowledge around family dynamics and addiction, Naomi was able to see how she had become the caretaker in the family. We explored and identified together how each of her behaviours today, the paralysis, the difficulty making decisions, the overwhelm, were rooted back in her childhood role. Then I worked with Naomi, teaching her new techniques to identify her needs and then to take action to put her needs first. This was not easy, and if you can relate it at all, I'm sure you recognise how difficult putting yourself first can be when you've had a lifetime of caring for other people. Naomi learnt what her values were, how both her values and her drivers, which is another exercise that we do, impacted who she was, how she interacted with the world and others. The area Naomi was struggling with involves some cultural expectations associated with the country from which she originated. She still felt the pressure to follow the lifestyle choices of her home country. As Naomi started to identify her own needs, she was able to make peace with her difference, and she was able to let go of the cultural shoulds. This process came only through self-acceptance, exploring her own qualities, affirming them, and taking steps in her behaviour that were aligned with who she truly is. She needed a lot of support from me in this first step, as her self-doubt and overwhelm would often come in and take over, but staying focused on the right decision, the one that serves her and gives her positive feelings, really helped. Working out what this was took time. We got there in the end. There were tears and revelations. Throughout a period of 3 months, including 6 sessions, a 3-day retreat, Naomi started to feel more confident and free within herself. Naomi moved to a new home with a friend she felt comfortable with. Previously, she'd been living in a shared house with people she felt she should be comfortable with. In fact, their negative behaviour was really affecting her. Naomi was able to conserve her energy by doing this, and she was no longer helping others sort out their problems in her home environment. This was something she had slipped into so naturally, even though it was so destructive to her as a result of her family dynamic she'd come from. I often say to my clients that it's easy to put on the old pair of slippers that are worn out and comfortable, although they are really not good for your health. New slippers may feel uncomfortable to begin with, but they can also make you feel clean and fresh. They will support you better and help you shine rather than being dull and stained. Naomi started to feel so much better within herself. She felt happy and adopted the phrase, "Yes, I can." This gave her permission to do things for herself, something that was entirely alien to her. She said she now felt able to trust herself, and the overwhelming and obsessive self-doubt had slipped away. Of course, it would come back on occasions, but she had the tools now to identify it and work through it, pushing it to the side so she could move forward. Naomi started to practice mindfulness on a daily basis. I had taught her all the elements of mindfulness and its benefits in different situations throughout our time together. This helped her to cope in situations where she felt overwhelmed. She started to feel really proud of herself as she pushed through with changes in her life, working towards her goals, free of guilt and conflicting thoughts. Naomi really came to understand who she was and was able to be herself. So her mental health improved immensely. She felt happy and content, at peace with making decisions in her life and firm in what she wanted, with no self-doubt or internal conflict. Her relationships improved so much as a result. After the 3 months, Naomi was quite honestly a changed and transformed person who now completely understood her limitations, herself and her needs. She was able to give herself permission to be herself and was behaving in a completely new way in her life. The result for her was so thrilling. So there you go. That's Naomi's story. I'm just going to read this last part, which is the exercise that comes in the book with the Be Yourself. So the first part of the step is to find out what your needs and your wants and your desires are. There are a few ways to do this. And firstly, once you've started to self-care, remove the inner critic and understand the default position of your brain and its programming, then you are free to build the person you truly are and want to be. This step is not about inventing a new personality or having unrealistic ideas about being someone who really is not you. It's about aligning yourself with who you really are. This is why this part comes after the first 2 steps, because part of this process involves acceptance of who you are. This truly is an incredible process, and the combination of accepting yourself and moving into your truth will ensure that you feel so free and so empowered. Everyone has different values in life, which is really interesting. Firstly, you need to find out what yours are. You probably have some ideas, but completing the exercise in the book will help you find this out. And this is certainly what I did, and it really helped me. So the second part of that is once you've done the values exercise in the book, which we also do on our workshop as well, and on our retreats, is to say no to things that are not in alignment with your values, and yes to things that are. It sounds so simple, doesn't it? But it's not simple. It's difficult. So you should place boundaries in those areas of your life where you know your energy is getting wasted. Stop worrying so much about what other people think. By this, I really mean that if people are not helping you be in alignment with your values, then you should not spend so much time with them. Your recovery is too important not to do this. My values are connection, growth, and responsibility. I spent so much of my life living out of alignment with these values. I was not taking any responsibility in my life, and I was actually isolating myself from other people. To change this behaviour, I had to say no to the inner critic that was telling me people would not want to connect with me because I had nothing to say. Say, for instance, that your value is justice. This is an area you may pursue if there is an injustice in your life. By doing this, you are saying no to allowing injustices in your life. Similarly, if your value is empathy and you find yourself surrounded by people who are not empathic, then you need to say no to these people being in your life. Here are some examples of saying yes to things that are in alignment with your values. So being more in nature, if that is your value. Allowing yourself to love, if this is your value. Finding areas where you can experience this value. If your value is work, then it's important to say yes to work that you really enjoy. So a few things to think about there. Obviously, you can find out a lot more by actually buying the book, The Rebel Method. It's available on Amazon for $8.99. So just type in The Rebel Method, Vanessa Wallace, and you can purchase the book, and also you get a link which takes you to all of the bonuses, all of the exercises that go with the book. It literally takes you on a journey of recovery, the journey of recovery that I take all my clients on. So it's great, great value. Okay, and there's a few other things that I wanted to say about some bonuses that I've got going on at the moment and some offers. So if you are here on this video and if you get to see this video, even if you see it on replay, I would like to offer you a free place on my Be Yourself workshop, which is on the 7th of January from 4 to 6:30 p.m. So if you are on this video and you've heard me say this, just let me know. You can email me, vanessa@crystalclearcoaching.org, or you can message me if you're watching this in the Crystal Clarity group, and I will get you onto that workshop. I'll send you the link and you can join us on the 7th of January from 4 to 6:30 p.m. And it is the Be Yourself chapter. So it's all about everything that's in that chapter: being yourself, placing boundaries, saying yes, saying no, all of that stuff. So it's a great workshop. It's going to be really lovely, not a big group, really interactive. So if you want to join that, just let me know.